Alright, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Firestone Walker Brewing Company, and they're out of Paso Robles, California, and this is their Parabolita, the salted caramel variant. So they're calling this one a bourbon barrel aged stout with vanilla beans, cocoa nibs, and sea salt. It comes in at 9.2% alcohol by volume, 40 IBUs, and at the time of review, this can is approximately 4.5 months old. So this has been hanging out my fridge since late September when I first picked it up, and just shortly after they released it. I haven't drank and or reviewed it to date because I've had so many other beers in my fridge that I needed to get to before this one. So it's been kind of hanging out in my fridge and just chilling, so to speak. But a couple weeks ago on YouTube, on Untap's YouTube channel, they posted a quick video. I think it was like a minute and 15 seconds long, from Firestone Walker's brewmaster talking a little bit about this beer. So it kind of inspired me to review it. So we're going to review it. Now, he did say in that review, he went into detail kind of what this beer is, more so than just calling it a bourbon barrel aged stout with vanilla beans, cocoa nibs, and sea salt. He said they take Parabola, which is typically anywhere between 12 to 15%, depending on the vintage, and they blend it with a milk stout. I believe it's their Velvet Merlin. And after they blend it, they then infuse it with Madagascar vanilla beans, cocoa nibs, and sea salt to kind of give you that salted caramel vibe. So I'm expecting like a pastry version of Parabola, albeit, you know, way less alcohol and maybe a little bit more drinkable, maybe a little sweeter. I don't know. Parabola is one of those beers that, to me anyway, is top tier when it comes to barrel-aged Imperial Stout, no frills. I mean, it's a blended barrel-aged beer, but, you know, a lot of people on Black Friday will go crazy over Bourbon County's beers, right? I think, in my opinion now, don't come after me with pitchforks, but in my opinion, I think Parabola, the base, more often than not, is better than the base of Bourbon County Stout. Just how I roll. That's my opinion. But anyway, yeah, I'm thinking this is going to be a little bit thinner in the body, maybe the mouthfeel not as luscious and whatnot. And, you know, I'm hoping that the pastry kind of portion of this, the adjuncts, aren't over the top. A little bit of a cheat here. Okay, definitely get a little bit of salted caramel. Anyway, so yeah, that poured out more of like a dark brown than a pitch black. On camera though, it's gonna be pitch black. To the light, more pitch black, but down here it's a very dark brown. I can see a little bit of like hints going through there. Had about a finger of a straight up brown colored head that is now dissipated to about maybe a half a finger. That's about a half a finger. It looks pretty creamy. There are some alcohol legs on the side of the glass, but they're not crazy. Again, 9.2%. It's not like Parabola. Parabola, the base Parabola is a blended barrel-aged beer, typically for 1 year its age. So I think, again, that's what they did. They took Parabola, normal Parabola, and mixed it with their Velvet Merlin. So I feel like everything's going to take a hint from the body to the mouthfeel, but we'll see. Let's get nose first. Okay, definitely get the barrel. Yeah, there's vanillins, there's vanilla, there's oak. But there's a more pronounced chocolate from the cocoa nibs. Like, it has like a rich, fudgy brownie batter type of feel. Yeah, chocolate through and through. There's a little bit of vanilla. I would say more like brownies or brownie batter. Or even in the nose, I'm getting like, I've had this a couple times over the past year. There's a local grocery store here that does salted caramel brownies. And they are just fantastic. And that's kind of what I'm getting in the nose. The sea salt isn't too big. Like, you're getting a little bit of like salinity in the nose. Some dark fruits too, like maybe even like a cherry. Almost remind me of like Black Forest cake. Yeah, it definitely smells adjunct laden, but not over the top. I still get like the base beer. There's a little bit of roasty coffee kind of feel to it as well. Maybe a touch of molasses. But yeah, salted caramel, sure. It smells pretty good. If this was in somebody else's can, would I necessarily be, oh, that's Parabola? No, definitely not, because it's blended. There's a bunch of these adjuncts, but it smells pretty good. It smells like a pretty good pastry stout. Anyway, let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Ooh. The carbonation in this is definitely way more involved than Parabola. Yeah, the carbonation almost gives this a drying effect on the palate. Go back for another sip. Yeah, for sure. I wanted to mention too that when it comes to like chocolate candies, over the past 5 years, something that I've come to just thoroughly enjoy, and it's like one of my favorite chocolate candies, is dark chocolate salted caramel. So typically get like, you know, the soft caramel that is draped in dark chocolate with like sea salt on top. Those are top tier for me. And I was kind of hoping for that out of this beer. And I'm getting like hints and nuances of that to some degree, but not fully. It's accentuating the rest of the beer, which is nice, but I was hoping a little bit more salted caramel flavor in general. All right, let's break this one down. Body, I would say this is like higher side of medium, lower side of full. So I think it might be appropriate for 9.2%, but I could see how somebody would drink this and think it's thin because it's Parabolita. You're thinking Parabola. Again, to be fair, Parabola, anywhere from 12 to 15%, depending on the vintage. And I never find that beer to be like super over the top viscous, but it's usually like medium full body, low to medium full body. So this is definitely a bit thin for what I'm hoping for, but I think for 9.2%, it's not like overly thin. The issue I'm having right now is the mouthfeel. The carbonation is just, it's like very over, I want to say it's overwhelming, but it's definitely higher than I'd like to see in a beer like this. It's like moderately to a touch over moderately carbonated. And I would like to see this like mild to moderately carbonated. This is more like moderately to full carbonated, right? It's not like crazy, like if you get a super crispy boy or, you know, like a sour that just has like gripping carbonation. But for something that's 9.2% with those adjuncts, barrel age and everything, I'd like to see the carbonation be lowered a bit. It's not ruining the experience, but it's definitely hindering it to some degree. But the taste, yeah, I mean, I get the base Parabola to some degree in here. There's a nice roasted malt character right at the forefront. There's a coffee roast. There's a little bit of molasses. There's definitely caramel and toffee. The base beer is here. But right after that, I get a big blast of chocolate, and it's like fudgy dark chocolate. Like it's definitely intense. It's luxurious, so to speak. It's very rich on the palate. As it passes through, the sea salt hits me like mid-palate, just like a kiss of it, and kind of goes away. So I do, again, get a sense of a salted caramel or a dark chocolate salted caramel kind of like candy, but it's not over the top. It's more just like a subtlety than anything else. Back of the palate, this finishes with a semi-dry kind of finish. Mild to moderately bitter. There's a little bit of like an oak tannin dryness happening. That's nice, like a woody oak tannin. A little bit of vanilla too at the end too. The vanillins isn't as big as they were in the nose, but they're definitely there. 9.2%, definitely getting a warming into the chest. I just kind of feel it. Just, you know, it feels woozy. It's not like astringent or over the top or like it's not. There's not any heat per se. It's not like burning my throat or like burning my chest, but you definitely feel a nice warming sensation as you sip on this. So at least I do. This is really good, but it could have been great. That's the way I would honestly state it. Parabola is a top tier barrel aged Imperial Stout. Sukaba, my favorite beer, maybe period. They're behind me on the pretentious wall of bottles and cans on each side on the end cap there. That's why they're up there behind me, because their barrel program is one of the best in the US. And when I pick up Parabola, no matter the vintage, I know I'm going to get a quality product. This is like the child of Parabola, or like the younger sibling of Parabola. And I think this might be for, here's the thing though, this is not overly sweet, and with pastry stouts a lot of times they can be. I mean, it's definitely sweet, but it's not a pastry, it's a pastry stout without being a pastry stout. Like they put all those different adjuncts in here, they mix it with the milk stout, and I think they should have just either went full on pastry stout or not done this. You know what I mean? Like I don't like that it's not like full on. Like, just give me all the salted caramel. Like, it's over the top, right? And it's not. That said, like, I feel like I'm being very negative with this beer, but I'm not. I'm trying to, you know, again, going back and harking back to the reviews I've done of different Parabolas on the channel, and the fact that I love Parabola is that I drink something like this, I expect a certain quality, and I think I'm getting quality here. I'm just not getting exactly what I want out of this to a T. So this is still a really fucking good beer. I'm going to pour the rest in here, see if there's any, you know, goodies and whatnot, and spill some of the beer on the table, of course. But, you know, rating-wise on this, I'm not going to go crazy high. I can do a whole lot. It's the same. I think my knocks on this beer are knock down the carbonation a little bit, because it's definitely a little bit more carbonated than it should be, in my opinion. And maybe give me a little bit more of that salted caramel flavor. And I think this would be a little bit higher rated, and I'd be happier overall. I just think, for what I'm looking for out of this beer, they didn't necessarily achieve it. And that's the beauty. Maybe somebody out there drank this and absolutely loved it. I like it. I put it this way. I think this is a very good beer, but it's not amazing. It's not great. It's just very good. So Parabolita, the salted caramel variant. And I say that like they're going to release another one. I think so. I feel like they're going to release another variant of this, because just the way how the label is, it says, salted caramel. I feel like this may be the first step of them releasing more like pastry variants of Parabola. But I'm going to give this beer right here, I think it's fair giving this a high 4 out of 5 and go 4.1 out of 5. I think that's where this one lands. I can't go much higher, and I think that's just a fair rating for what I'm looking for. But yeah, I think they're going to release other variants. I hope so anyway. It'd be cool to see them do different ones and maybe, achieve what they're going for me personally, more so, because I'll pick up any other variant they release, because it's Firestone Walker, man. They make good beer. Price and availability. This one showed up here in the Buffalo, New York area. Like I said, I picked this up in late September, early October, and I paid $7.50 for that can. Now it's a 16-ounce can, 9.2%. I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. When Parabola shows up in the 12-ounce bottles, right, it's typically, that put over here, it's over here. No, this is Sukaba, that's Parabola. Typically, they're like 10 to 12 bucks for that 12-ounce bottle. So again, 12 to 15%. This is 9.2, but this also has a bunch of adjuncts in it. So I don't think $7.50 a can is that bad. If you pick this one up and you had this, what did you pay for it? I'd be curious to see what other people paid for it. And availability, I have no idea. I know it showed up here, and I haven't seen it since, again, the early fall. So I don't know if this is still hanging out on the shelves. And I only saw one other beer tuber review this one, which was the FLX Boys, Dan and Mike. And I purposely did not watch the review because I knew I had a can of this. I didn't want to be influenced by their tasting notes, because a lot of times we have similar tasting notes. So I didn't watch the review, but I do have it queued up. So after I drink this one, maybe even later tonight, but definitely in the near future, I'm going to go watch it and then comment on their video. But I hope they enjoyed it. I think it was sent to them by Billy, which is a viewer of both of our channels. Great guy. So I'll be curious to see what they think about this one. Again, we have a lot of similar opinions, but sometimes we differ, especially Dan and I. We are on the... I'd say we agree like 90% of the time, but the other 10% of the time we disagree. So I'd be curious to see what he thinks about this one, and Mike as well. So anyway, again, if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. I would say, like I said, sum this one up. That was going to be a longer review. I don't really care, but I would say this is very good, but not great. And it's Firestone Walker, so I was expecting greatness. Anyway, to the next one. Cheers.